Be on this stage today. And I just want you to know that I'm just a small town girl from right down the street in this tiny town in central Georgia. And that should really give you hope that anybody can get on the stage, right? if you set your mind to something and you stay your path. And so I'm really excited today to talk to you about what it means to have a success mindset. Because I truly can say that I had a lot of mindset work to do, I would say, coming from a small town and just having that, I would say more of a narrow-minded thought process. So I want to talk with you today about not, if things come up in your life, but when things come up in your life, how they're really there to teach you and show you and to help you take that next step in your journey. Just a second. Next. It's the one that says next. Okay. All right. Here we go. So, this is my beautiful family, and they are, like many of you, one of the main reasons that I got started with doTERRA about 6 years ago. And I want to walk you down a pathway of how motherhood and doTERRA were really the single catalyst that just shot me forward in my leadership journey. And so 6 years ago, almost 7, that little girl made me a mother. And it was the best experience, right? All the learning that comes with that. And I didn't really realize it until I looked back on the experience, but she was just the best baby. She was one of those just content, such a blessing to be around. All children are, but she was one of those exceptionally good children, still is, honestly. So she had me good and spoiled, right? You guys can understand what I mean by that. And when I was pregnant with my son, I often wondered, what is this going to be like? It's going to be new, it's going to be different. How is he going to be? We got this little flow going on. And, I was really kind of had some anxiety about this. And so, 4 years ago, this little cute boy with a tattoo on his arm, he came into the world. And he could not have been more different than his sister. Literally, like you're laughing because you understand. I know I'm getting some nods out there. So he made me question everything I know about motherhood. There were tears, there was frustration, there was what in the heck do I do, why me? I'm just being honest, right? You guys feel me. So I really had to choose one day. I just woke up and thought, something's got to change here. And I don't know if y'all have ever tried to change anybody else, but it's really hard, especially a child, right? They're really headstrong, like they want what they want. And so I had to take a good look in the mirror and say, I've got to change something about the way I'm looking at the situation because it's really just not serving me. And so I want to walk you through how just realizing that change needed to happen in me was the first step, and then comparison and all these other things that were really hindering my view of all that he had to offer me, and really the invitation to step up in my own leadership and then in the leadership of others. So I believe that the first step in this is really realizing that something's got to change. A lot of times we go through our life and we just accept things for the way they are, and we think, well, that's just how it is. And I realize, like I said, you can't really change how your children act, whatever that might be, and that is frustrating. And so I thought, well, what can change here? If I can't change him, right, I have to change the way that I'm looking at the situation. So transformation is actually defined as a dramatic change in form or appearance. So I knew that something dramatic had to change. I needed to be transformed. And just really allowing me to see this situation for what it was such a huge blessing in my life. And let's walk through that a little bit. So Maya Angelou says, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." And so I've been thinking a lot about this lately because this month was my 6-year anniversary with doTERRA. And so I wanted to create this little walk down memory lane and just to kind of share what my journey has been with all my followers. I posted it on social media. And so as I'm writing this, I'm really thinking, my goodness, what all has changed for me in 6 years? I think we can all say that, right? I mean, when you think back, it's almost hard for me to go back. I'm a very futuristic person, and so I had to just really take myself back into that time in my life and what it was like. And what I realized was, if somebody were to see me today versus, back then, 6 years ago, you wouldn't necessarily see a lot of change on the outside, but you would see a whole lot of change on the inside. And most of that change happened right between here, right? My mindset. It really was amazing to just look back and see the huge difference that there was simply because I said yes to an opportunity. And I know that many of you can say that today. And so this is a picture of a cocoon. And this is obviously a butterfly cocoon, but I had actually made my own cocoon around myself because we want to feel safe, we want to feel comfortable. So all throughout our life, we're kind of just building this little cocoon around ourselves. Or maybe it was just me, I don't know. But I was really in my comfort zone and wanted to stay there, to be honest. And then in entered doTERRA and just really broke that all to pieces in the best possible way. And it took every single frustration, every single perceived bad thing that happened, obstacle, it took every single one of those to make tiny little cracks in that cocoon so I could finally bust out and become this beautiful butterfly and fly. I think we can all say that we want a little more of that, right? We don't want to stay locked up. The world needs you to become what you are meant to become. And so Seth Godin defines leadership, Seth Godin says, leadership is scarce because few people are willing to go through the discomfort required to lead. This scarcity makes leadership valuable. It's uncomfortable to stand up in front of strangers. Hello. It's uncomfortable to propose an idea that might fail. It's uncomfortable to challenge the status quo. It's uncomfortable to resist the urge to settle. If you're not uncomfortable in your work as a leader, it's almost certain you're not reaching your potential as a leader. And I can say that I'm pretty uncomfortable on this stage, and that's okay, right? I want to up-level my leadership. I want to impact as many people as I can. And I'll share this with you. God really gave me this vision of standing on the stage at leadership when I was at convention. I had no idea why. It was just something that came to me, and I thought, this is crazy. I'm just going to stuff this down. And then lo and behold, here I am. So we can do hard things, and we can do scary things. And I'm standing on the stage because Copaiba soft gels and Magnolia are awesome, okay? So if you're ever needing any help with that, those two things have been a lifesaver. So write that down. But in this, Seth Godin really keeps on coming back to being uncomfortable. And for me, my whole journey really is getting out of my own way in my own comfort zone. It's really busting out of that cocoon that I had formed around myself. And so just the cold hard fact is that leadership is not easy. And many people have said that. And you guys, I just want you to know that things are going to come up, right? The path for anybody is, even though it may look easy on the outside, there's lots of bumps in the road. Big ones, small ones, and it really is our ability to get uncomfortable and to keep getting up when we get knocked down. So what do we want to do when hard things come along? Well, I know what I want to do. I want to just keep going on to the next thing. Because that way, I don't really have to deal with what's going on. I can just keep going. And I'm an achiever. That's my top strength. Is there any other achievers in here? We can get it done. If you need something done, hand it over because I can get it done. And as my work at as a pharmacy, people love me because I could just do all the work, right? And that's not a bad thing, but when you're so focused on getting things done and going down your checklist, when things come up and these hard things happen and they're there for us to learn from them, all we're doing is just going on to the next thing. And so I think it's so important for us to really slow down a little bit and learn from these things. And that's not easy for me. I don't know, it may be easy for you, but that's one of the main lessons in the success mindset and just my journey in leadership has taught me is there's power in the slowdown. Even when we think, just as far as what Ruth talked about, we're trying to get more enrollments, we're out there, we're doing all the things, but What are those things? What's coming up for you? Are you just trying to stuff it down because you just have your eyes on, I need to do this month, or I need to have this many enrollments, or whatever it might be? It's so important for us to really learn from those things that are coming up. So I want to encourage you to just have a seat. Have a seat in your mess. Even though we don't want to do that, that's the only way we're going to be able to learn from these things that come up. Because if we keep going on to the next thing, it's just going to keep coming back up. It's not like you've reached a certain level and all your problems go away. And you kind of left that back there at Premier, and you're silver now, and everything's great. It's just going to keep following you. And so it's so important for us to really sit with these things and really take a deep breath and be okay with a little bit of failure. I think sometimes we have shame in that. We really want to cover it up because we don't want anybody to know that we're struggling. And what I'm here to tell you is that everybody struggles. And if you don't think that's true, then you're telling yourself a lie, because it is. I mean, even if you think, as a presenter, oh, she's got it all together. I'm hanging by a wing and a prayer up here, okay? Like, for real, okay? Can we just acknowledge that? Like, it doesn't go away. It really is setting yourself up for not for success, but for failure when you keep telling yourself that. So sitting with it is not something to be ashamed of. It's actually something to be proud of. It's something we should all do. So, in this situation with my son and just learning from him, the first thing that I did when he came into the world was I compared him to his sister, because that's really all I knew. But that was one of the worst things I could have done, because obviously they're two different people. One's a boy, one's a girl, right? They're going to be different, but I only knew how to mother her. And so when he came along and had his own set of, just wants and needs, and it was something that really set me up for success. And I know we hear it all the time, but comparison really is the thief of joy, because I can't tell you how much more joy I would have had if I would have not compared the two, right? It took me a little while to realize this. So the sooner we can realize that we just need to put our blinders on. You don't need to worry about what everybody else is doing, right? When I can look at my son for who he is, he has so much to teach me. And when we can look at our problems for what they are, and our leaders for who they are, right? I love the Strength Finders analysis, because it really does help us to look at our leaders for their strengths versus what their weaknesses are. So putting your blinders on is something that is key for a success mindset. So I think it's really important to know that the people in the front row, the ones that have made it and have, made it to you, right? You're always looking up to someone who you feel has reached success. And you might think, I bet everything they do just works, right? They never have any issues. They never have anything come up. Everything's just smooth sailing for them because they've made it. Well, let me just tell you the truth. Everything they touch doesn't turn to gold. It just doesn't. They still have to show up. They still have to look at things that come their way and think, what can I do to learn from this and really move forward? They're still out there learning from their mistakes and learning from all the failures. That doesn't go away. And it really is, like I said, setting ourselves up for failure and for really having that shame, like, why can they do it and why can't I? And why have they made it and why haven't I? It's just something that we need to stop. You just need to stop doing it. And social media is so, I love social media, but it's so bad for this, right? It's so easy to compare ourselves to other people because it's so easy to see what everybody's doing now. So just know that they're real people just like you. And they have hard times just like you. And I did this a lot when I left my pharmacy job about 3 years ago, and I was working at, first 3 years of my business, I worked as a full-time pharmacist, and I thought, whenever I leave my job and work from home, everything's going to be awesome. Like, all my problems are going to go away. Do you guys feel like that? Like, whenever I'm here, everything's going to go away. Nothing's going to follow me. And it actually got harder because I really had to step up my own leadership game and really change my mindset, because it's just amazing when you have more time the more time you have to think about all the things that maybe are not going well. So I just want to encourage you that maybe you're not where you're at and you think, whenever I get there, everything's going to go away. It doesn't, but that's okay. That's okay. You're going to have a success mindset, and whatever comes your way, you're going to use it to help move you forward. So this means staying in your lane. We've got to keep our mind and our eyes and our focus forward, because if we're constantly looking around, and that's what we tend to do when things come up, right? I mean, we're like, this is not working for me. I'm not feeling real good about this. Let me just see what everybody else is doing. So we just, we look from side to side, and just like when you're driving in a car, if you do that all the time, you're going to crash. You're not going to see the signs that are right there, that are for you, that are trying to lead you forward on your journey. And those signs are important. They're telling you, curbs up ahead, slow down, you need to take a minute with this. But if we're just constantly going from one thing to the next, it's really hard for us to see those signs. And I cannot tell you how many times I missed all kinds of signs when looking back. Because, like I said, as an achiever, I'm always focused on the what's the next thing. I'm futuristic as well, so it's just always that moving forward. And that's not a bad thing, but you're going to have to work more on the slowdown and the really sitting with things and just the time by yourself, because that's so important. Because I know that we come to these conferences and we get on calls, and we want to know what that next thing is for us and what that next thing is going to be for our success. But we already know the answers. And if we don't slow down enough to hear them, that might be the thing that you needed to hear, right? That might be the thing, like Rachel said. You came here to hear one thing. You have all the answers that you need. You just have to slow down enough to hear them and see them. So Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. So as we're walking on our journey and really trying to uplevel our leadership and having a success mindset, I think it's so important to have people that come along that journey with us. And those would be what some call mentors. And, I think sometimes we really don't take our place and what we have to give, and as many people are as watching us, and we don't think what we do matters. And I'm here to tell you, there are so many people watching you that you have no idea, right? People that strangers, but your family and your friends and your team, everybody's watching what you're doing. And I don't mean to say that as like you can't mess up. We're all going to mess up. But the fact that we share in that is so key. And so think about who those mentors are in your life, and think about what mentor you want to be to somebody else. So I was just talking to one of my leaders recently, actually, and it keeps coming up in our conversations that she wanted to be a better mentor. And I think this is a great thing to aspire to, and I think we probably all could say we would like to be a better leader and a better mentor to our team. But it finally dawned on me that because I got quiet and I listened, I was thinking about our conversation, and I encouraged her, I messaged her back, and I encouraged her that when we're so focused on we just want to be a better mentor, we just want to be better at this, at that, sometimes we can't even see the path to that because we're so focused on having such a tight grip on that. But what I encouraged her to do was just think about how she could learn from what life was trying to teach her and just really focus more on herself and her personal leadership. And that was in turn just going to make her a better mentor just naturally. And when we do that and we really sit down and learn from what life is trying to teach us, and sometimes, honestly, I'm kind of hard-headed, so sometimes it has to knock me upside the head for me to really learn from things, but it's so important that we do, and then it would just automatically happen to be a better mentor. So can you get no video, correct? Okay, so we're going to skip the video, no worries. So that video was it was kind of going over what I was talking about, just about how when life knocks you down, that it's very important to get back up. And every time that you learn from your opportunity, every time that you learn from your failures and learn from your obstacles, you get another opportunity to really show up in a new and different way. And so we have to look at those things just as that, as opportunities. So I love this question. You know, when things are not going the way we want them to go, how often do we say, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? I bet nobody else is dealing with this. Like, I don't understand why. It's, you know, can it pick somebody else? I'm just over this. But the thing is, all the answers to those questions really help you focus on the past and what has happened in the past. And all the answers to those questions are very disempowering. So I want to encourage you to really look at the situation in front of you and say, what does this make possible? Because it's a futuristic, right? It's looking into the future, because you can change the future. You can't change the past. And you can learn from the past, obviously, but you can't change it. So when we focus on the future and what the things that are coming up are really trying to teach us, it changes our whole perspective on things. So, what was my son's behavior making possible? You guys, when I finally let go of trying to change him, because that was not going well, I realized that he was really trying to teach me how to have more fun, how to be playful, how to let go of my schedule. Like, who has a schedule? I have a schedule and I like to stay with it. But what I've realized is there's so much value in the slowdown. He's having a tantrum. Let's slow down and love on him some instead of saying, why are you doing that? It's so important, you guys. I just can't tell you how important it is to learn from these things. And sometimes we think life and business are separate, but they're not. I can't tell you how much just that one thing with my son and the one frustration I had, and I really changed my mindset on it, it changed everything for me. I really wake up every day now excited to see what new things are going to happen. Even though I know there'll be hard things that come, and even though I know there might be more tantrums, and there might be more just behaviors that I'm not really excited to deal with, right? But there's always an invitation to lean into that and really to love on them rather than getting frustrated. And the same thing goes with our business. Sometimes, you know, we get the call that, like, hey, I can't do this anymore, or we have the class and nobody shows up. But what does that make possible? Rather than why me? You see how that changes everything? And so I'm so grateful to my son and to all that, obviously my daughter has taught me things too, right? I don't want to exclude her, but this was just something that I'm so grateful for him in particular, and I feel like we have a really strong bond because of that now. And he just invites me to have more fun and more playfulness every day. So I really wake up and look forward to that. So Dave Ramsey says, success is just a pile of failures that you're standing on. And so a lot of times when we want to grow in our leadership and we want to reach that success, we see it as a big mountain that we're just excited to climb. But when you think about it like this, does that change your perspective a little bit? It kind of makes you think about things, right? And you might be thinking, well, gosh, I'm not standing on the mountain that I want to. How do I get more failure? Probably never asked yourself that question before or thought about it. But the thing is, you got to get out there. You got to do more stuff. And I promise you're going to fail more. You're welcome. I know that makes you excited to go out there and just get after it. But the thing is, we all fail. Oh my gosh, I fail every day. I mean, and we'll continue to. But that's just another stepping stone. And every single one of those failures and those roadblocks that I've experienced could have been a reason why I wasn't supposed to succeed. But I chose to look at it as a way and a reason why I would succeed. So it really just depends on how we look at it, and that all goes back to having that success mindset. So every day is a new opportunity. Every day I have to get up and choose what my outlook is going to be. How am I going to deal with things that come? Because we can't predict the future. Nobody knows the future. And so when we think, I'll be happy when, or I hope this doesn't happen, or else I'm not going to be happy, or whatever it is, we're really robbing ourselves of that joy that every single day has for us. And we're missing those opportunities of the failures and the adversity that comes up and of what it's trying to teach us. So I invite you to really just get up every day and say, what does today have for me? I'm excited to learn from it. And if you're sitting here today and you're not where you want to be and you've experienced lots of failure, maybe you haven't learned from it, just know that you always have the ability to change that. Every day is a new day, and you can change your mindset on these things and truly live the life that you're dreaming of. So I want you to know that every single thing that comes up for you is just a stepping stone in your personal transformation. So I want to encourage you to think today and just ponder on this. What will cause you to kind of break out of your cocoon? What are you holding back on that you know? I think we probably all know what that next step is and what that next thing that we need to do is. And I want you to also know that it really is up to you. You're the only variable. So I encourage you with that. And my last slide won't pull up, but that's okay. It was going to say that you decide. Always remember that you decide. Thank you.